You want to know what keeps me up at night? It's not the stock market, it's not interest rates, it's not even politics. What keeps me up at night is watching millions of people pour their hard-earned money into so-called assets that are guaranteed to destroy their wealth. And the worst part? They think they're being smart. They think they're investing. They think they're building a future, but they're not. They're digging their own financial graves, one bad purchase at a time. Now, I'm going to tell you something that your financial advisor won't tell you, that your parents didn't teach you, and that Wall Street definitely doesn't want you to know. There are 5 categories of so-called assets that people are still buying in 2026 that will absolutely, without question, keep you poor for the rest of your life. And I'm going to expose every single one of them right now. But before I do, let me be crystal clear about something. I didn't build multiple companies and a substantial fortune by following the crowd. I built it by seeing what others couldn't see, by having the discipline to walk away from bad deals, and by understanding one simple truth. What most people call an asset is actually a liability dressed up in fancy marketing. And if you can't tell the difference, you'll never be wealthy, period. If you're ready to hear the truth. If you're tired of wondering why you're not getting ahead, then stick with me. Hit that subscribe button because we're building a community of financially intelligent people here. People who refuse to be fooled. People who are serious about building real generational wealth. Let's get into it. The first asset that's keeping you poor, cash, sitting in a savings account. I can already hear you. Kevin, cash is safe. Cash is security. Cash is king. Wrong. Cash is trash. And I'm going to prove it to you with simple mathematics that your bank hopes you never understand. Right now, inflation is eating your money alive. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, the dollars sitting in your savings account are losing purchasing power. That 4% interest rate your bank is so proud of, it's a joke. When inflation is running at 3, 4, even 5%, you're not making money. You're losing it slowly enough that you don't notice. Let me break this down for you. If you have $50,000 sitting in a savings account earning 4% interest, you're making $2,000 a year. Sounds nice, right? But if inflation is 4%, your purchasing power hasn't changed at all. You've made nothing, zero. And if inflation is higher than your interest rate, which it often is, you're actually losing money while the bank uses your deposits to make real returns for themselves. This is what I call the illusion of safety. You feel safe because you see the number in your account, but that number is meaningless if it buys less every year. In 10 years, your $50,000 might still say $50,000, but it'll only buy what $35,000 buys today. That's not saving. That's slow motion financial suicide. Now, I'm not saying don't have any cash. You need an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses, liquid and accessible. That's non-negotiable. But anything beyond that sitting in a savings account is money that's not working for you. It's money that's dying. What should you do instead? Invest it. Put it in dividend-paying stocks. Put it in index funds. Put it in assets that actually grow faster than inflation. Your money needs a job. And sitting in a savings account is unemployment for your dollars. Rich people understand this. Poor people keep piling cash into savings accounts because it feels safe. But feeling safe and being wealthy are two very different things. And you can't have both if you're hiding your money under a mattress called a bank account. The second asset that's keeping you poor, speculative cryptocurrencies and meme coins. Now, before the crypto bros come for me, let me be clear. I own Bitcoin. I own Ethereum. I believe in the blockchain technology. But what I don't believe in is gambling disguised as investing. And that's exactly what most people are doing when they buy cryptocurrency. Every week, someone sends me a message asking about some new coin they heard about on social media. It's going to be the next Bitcoin, Kevin. It's going to 100x. I'm going to be rich. No, you're not. You're going to be broke. Because you're not investing, you're gambling at a casino that's rigged against you. Here's what most people don't understand about these meme coins and speculative tokens. They have no underlying value, no cash flow, no earnings, no product, no service, nothing. You're buying a digital lottery ticket and praying someone else will pay more for it than you did. That's not investing. That's the greater fool theory in action. And let me tell you about the people promoting these coins. The influencers, the celebrities, the anonymous Twitter accounts with laser eyes. They bought in early, they're pumping the price, and when it peaks, they're dumping on you. You're not their friend, you're their exit liquidity. I've watched people put their entire savings into coins that went to zero. Zero, not down 50%, not down 80%, zero, gone, evaporated, because they couldn't tell the difference between a real asset and a digital Ponzi scheme. If you want to own cryptocurrency, fine. Stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe a few other established projects with real use cases, but never more than 5% of your portfolio. And for the love of everything, do not put your rent money into a coin because some guy on YouTube told you it's going to moon. Your future is not a meme. Stop treating it like one. The third asset that's keeping you poor, timeshares and vacation properties you don't use. This one makes my blood boil because the people selling timeshares are some of the slickest, most manipulative salespeople on the planet. They catch you on vacation when your guard is down, when you're relaxed, when you're thinking about how nice it would be to come back here every year, and then they sell you a financial nightmare disguised as a dream. Let me tell you what a timeshare actually is. It's a liability that you can't sell, can't get rid of, and that charges you maintenance fees forever. Forever. Even after you die, your heirs might be stuck with it. You're not buying a vacation. You're buying a bill that never ends. The average timeshare owner pays $1,000 to $1,500 a year in maintenance fees. That's money going out of your pocket every single year, whether you use the property or not. And those fees increase every year, always, without exception. In 10 years, you might be paying double what you started with. And here's the cruel joke. You could take that same money and book better vacations at better properties with more flexibility for less money. But instead, you're locked into the same place, the same week, the same room for decades. That's not luxury. That's a prison with a nice view. But it's not just timeshares. It's vacation homes you barely use. People buy a beach house or a cabin thinking it's an investment. But if you're only using it 4 weeks a year and it's sitting empty the rest of the time, that's not an investment. That's an expensive hobby. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, cleaning, repairs, all that money bleeding out for something you use a fraction of the year. Meanwhile, that same capital could be in the market, growing, compounding, actually building your wealth instead of maintaining an empty building. If you want vacation memories, rent. It's cheaper, more flexible, and when you're done, you walk away. No maintenance fees, no property taxes, no regrets. The fourth asset that's keeping you poor, overpriced graduate degrees with no ROI. Now, I'm going to get some angry emails about this one, but I don't care because somebody needs to say it. Not all education is worth the price tag. And in 2026, there are people taking on 6 figures of student loan debt for degrees that will never pay off. Let me be clear. Education is valuable. Knowledge is valuable. But a $200,000 master's degree from a prestigious university that leads to a $50,000 a year job, that's not valuable. That's a financial disaster. I meet young people all the time who are drowning in student debt because they were told to follow their passion, get the best degree they could, and it would all work out. It doesn't all work out. Not when you're paying $2,000 a month in student loans while making barely enough to cover rent. Here's how you need to think about education. It's an investment, not an experience. And like any investment, you need to calculate the return. What will this degree cost me in total, including living expenses and lost income while I'm studying? What will I realistically earn when I graduate? How many years until I break even? If those numbers don't work, the degree doesn't work. It doesn't matter how prestigious the school is. It doesn't matter how interesting the subject is. If the math doesn't add up, you're buying a liability, not an asset. And let me tell you something else. In 2026, Employers care less about where you went to school and more about what you can do. Skills matter. Results matter. A fancy diploma from an expensive school does not guarantee success. I've hired people from community colleges who outperformed Ivy League graduates because they had hunger, practical skills, and they weren't crushed by $200,000 in debt. Be strategic about education. Consider trade schools. Consider certifications. Consider 2-year degrees that lead to real jobs. And if you're going to get a graduate degree, make sure the numbers work. Because student debt doesn't care about your dreams. It just wants to be paid. The fifth asset that's keeping you poor. Individual stocks you don't understand. Everyone wants to be the next Warren Buffett. Everyone thinks they can pick the winning stock, get in early on the next Amazon, the next Apple, the next Tesla, and almost everyone is wrong. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most individual investors underperform the market, not by a little, by a lot. They buy high because they're excited, they sell low because they're scared. They chase trends, they follow tips from friends, they think they're investing, but they're gambling. And the stocks they buy, they don't understand them. They couldn't tell you what the company does, how it makes money, what its competitive advantage is, or why it's valued the way it is. They just heard the name somewhere and bought it. That's not investing. That's financial roulette. And the house always wins. Let me tell you what I do before I invest in any individual stock. I study the business for weeks. I understand the revenue model. I look at the balance sheet. I evaluate the management team. I consider the competitive landscape. I know exactly why I'm buying and exactly when I'll sell. If you can't do that, you have no business picking individual stocks. What should you do instead? Buy index funds, buy ETFs, diversify across the entire market and let time do the work. It's not exciting, it's not sexy, but it works. Over 30 years, the S&P 500 has averaged around 10% annual returns. That's wealth building, that's compounding, that's how real money is made. Stop trying to be clever. The market is smarter than you. Accept it, invest broadly, and let your money grow. So let me bring this all together. Stop hoarding cash in savings accounts that lose to inflation. Stop gambling on meme coins and speculative garbage. Stop buying timeshares and vacation properties you don't use. Stop taking on massive debt for degrees that don't pay off. Stop picking stocks you don't understand. These 5 things are the difference between building wealth and staying broke forever. And the scary part is, most people are doing at least 2 or 3 of them right now without even realizing it. Wealth isn't complicated, but it requires discipline. It requires saying no to things that feel good but aren't good for you. It requires thinking long-term when everyone around you is chasing short-term gratification. I didn't get to where I am by being lucky. I got here by being disciplined, by making hard choices, by refusing to buy things that would keep me poor. And now I'm sharing that with you because I genuinely believe anyone can build wealth if they just stop making these critical mistakes. Now, if this video made you think, if it challenged you, if it maybe even made you a little uncomfortable, that means it's working. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep bringing you the financial truth that nobody else will tell you. Leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 5 assets you've been guilty of buying. Be honest with yourself. That's the first step to change. Your financial future is in your hands, not the market's hands, not the government's hands, yours. So make the right decisions. Stop buying things that keep you poor. Start building real, lasting wealth. That's the path. Now walk it.